everybody. Welcome to our meeting, the Government Charter Review meeting. It is a public meeting and it is being recorded for everybody that has logged in and is attending remotely. Hang on. I will say that pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, on June 16th, 2021, Governor Baker signed into law an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. This act includes an extension until July 15th, 2022, of the remote meeting provisions of his March 20th, 2020 executive order. The meeting tonight is being conducted via remote participation. So we'll call this meeting to order. And I know we have an agenda, pardon me. I know we have an agenda that was circulated previously by Jess, which we appreciate.
Mr. Chair, if I may suggest something.
Please, of course.
The approval of the minutes from the May 10th meeting, if that could be pushed to your next meeting. There's still some matters that we're still working on with the draft minutes.
Okay. Yes. Mr. Hearn, do we need a vote on that or can we just move that?
Yeah, yes, you should vote on that.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to postpone the approval of that to the next meeting?
So moved.
So moved. And we have a second. And so we have Mr. Fitzgerald moving and Ms. Hyde seconded. And going through the rest of the members, Mr. Loughnane.
Aye.
And I am also an aye.
We should also vote. I say aye.
Ms. Hyde, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
No problem. And Mr. Chair, just a suggestion. Just as this is being recorded, just so people know who the committee members are, might it be possible just for the committee members to introduce themselves?
Of course. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Paul Fitzgerald from Birch Tree Lane. I'm the co-chair of the Charter Review Committee.
Thank you. Ms. Hyde.
Nancy Hyde, 15 Martingale Lane, member of this committee as well as the Board of Assessors.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Loughnane.
John Loughnane, Sterling Road, member of the committee.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman, I know you've already turned in, but might as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Christopher Coleman, Town Administrator, ex officio member of the Charter Review Committee.
Thank you. Ms. Powers.
Dottie Powers, resident, 161 Fieldstone Road, Town Clerk, ex officio member of the Charter Review Committee.
Thank you. Ms. Cole.
Jessica Cole, 23 Eastman Avenue, and I'll be taking the minutes.
Thank you. And we also have Ms. Goldberg.
Hello, Lauren Goldberg, KP Law, assisting the Charter Review Committee with its work.
Great. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Well, welcome everybody.
You miss Pat.
I miss Pat. Oh, Mr. Hearn, my apologies. The center
No
square.
problem. Pat Ahern, 103 Church Street, Town Council, ex officio member.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hearn. Okay, so I'm just going to run down the items in order from the agenda that Ms. Cole circulated. So the bullet here is to discuss and revote to recommend to the select board to appoint Attorney Goldberg as the special legal counsel. Mr. Coleman, is that accurate? We need a revote?
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, I'll explain.
Please.
In my exuberance, I forgot I was an ex officio member and I made the motion. That was perhaps not proper. Nothing has changed in terms of our discussion, but I think a non-ex officio member should make the motion in a second.
Thank
I'll
you
be
very
happy
much.
to move that we hire Lauren Goldberg as our legal counsel to this committee.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that we recommend that Ms. Goldberg be appointed as special counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald, and we'll finish the roll. Mr. Loughnane?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Hyde?
Aye.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Aye.
And I also would vote aye. Thank you very much, Mr. Hearn, for keeping us clear on that. And
And thank you for your exuberance, Pat. It was good.
thank you. So as a result of the prior meeting, we circulated the draft of or prior survey that had gone to the other boards and committees of the town. And I know we received, Mr. Coleman received some general feedback, which he shared, just high level feedback, including it's a bit long and cumbersome and should be thinned out. All true and good points for sure. And so just this afternoon, there was a recirculation of an updated survey, thinned down to 1 page clean. And Mr. Coleman, did you want to walk through that or
I don't think I've
Or-
received that.
okay.
It was recently sent, but I can certainly share it on the screen. So everyone, I just
Okay.
need authorization, Jessica, if you can allow me to share my screen.
Chris, just so you know, I don't have it. So I don't know
Okay.
if it went into an abyss, but just, I don't know if Tish can send it again. I know you're going to post it, so that's,
I made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. So
maybe. Oh, Chris, I correct that. It went into my personal email, not the town one. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
And I think as we, as this launches, just to think about, what's the utility of this and, in sort of the goal of this. And, from my perspective, it's to try to, as part of outreach to the interested parties, stakeholders, and folks that have worked in the town, but also worked under the current charter, and it's worthwhile to receive all feedback, as much feedback as the folks would be able to provide to us and would be willing to provide to us. So, but so as to not make this so cumbersome as it to collapse upon the weight of itself. From my view, the goal would be to have one survey that we could send to you broadly, and that goes to each of the boards and the departments, rather than trying to create one survey for each different one. So so just for my view, that's how I would think about this, but certainly we can, so we can go through. So I'm sorry, were we going to do a screen share on that to
Yes,
allow our-
I'm just trying to get the clean version. There we go. There we go. So the revised draft for the committee's discussion consists of 10 questions. Certainly not limited to 10, but this is a more streamed down version of the draft survey. Would you like me to read the questions? And okay. So title of it is Westward Government Charter Review Committee Survey, June 2022, asking for the name of the board, the committee or board. First question is describe the core functions of your board/committee. And please stop me at any time, any committee or anyone. Second question is describe how your board or committee derives its authority, e.g. from town meeting, town bylaws, general laws, or some combination. Question 3, discuss whether in your
excuse me,
opinion-
Mr. Coleman, on that one, I would just say on number 2, so one thought is this, should we already know this? And, are we better served just removing this, because, we can see just as we look at the charter and bylaws, we can see really where the authority should be derived from. So I thought of deleting that, but
I would agree.
Yeah,
Okay, so to take this off, number 2,
yes.
that's consensus, okay. The new number 2, discuss whether, in your opinion, the board or committee has the authority necessary to carry out its purpose. If not, what, in your opinion, could be done to give it the authority it needs? Number 3.
Can we talk about this? I think it'd be good to talk about it as we go along. So I know from the last round that out of a question such as this, Paul and Peter, you'd know better if it was actually the case, but something like the Finance Commission, I think, spoke up and said they needed to be sure that they received all the information necessary to make informed decisions when recommending articles for the town meeting. And so that came about. I'm just wondering, this question assumes the negative,
right.
that there's a problem, and I'm just wondering, I don't know what the reverse of the negative is, because I can't imagine asking, do you have too much coming your way, or do you have too much information that exceeds what you need? But
Right.
I guess I just I don't know how this question will help us this time, unless it's just like what I'm saying, what happened last time, that you did find out that a commission in this case felt that they needed, I'll call it more coverage, more ability to get at the information they needed. So I'm looking to both of you for your thoughts, because you had last time's perspective.
Are you thinking maybe it's saying same authority? Do you discuss with opinion the board or committee has the resources or information?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm being very unclear. I know. I'm trying to, as I look at these questions, I want to make sure that we're opening it up to get responses that are helpful to us as we do our work. And I'm trying to figure out how to make this question most
Well,
helpful.
maybe we could put it more in the positive, discuss in whether, in your opinion, there is additional resources or authority, right, that your board would need to carry out its present and future functions. We could do it that way, Nancy, if that's what.
Yeah, I'm very open. I just.
Right, because I think what we're trying to get at is, right, is there something, does the charter, the present charter or the bylaw give you the discretion, the authority to carry out what you need to do?
Can I do a hypothetical? And I'm going to be a little off topic, but let's say we have a Commission A, and Commission A is comprised of appointed members, and they have what they think is their goal and their work. So I guess because we're talking about the charter, it would not be an ad hoc type committee on one that the select board's created. It has to come under the authority of, or under the charter, right? And I'm just wondering if we have a group of people that, let's say they tell us we can't get anything done because it all has to go through the select board before it can go to town meeting. I mean, it's a hypothetical that in some ways has a dose of reality, because there's a layer, and there might be an official commission or something that says that. What do we do with that? I'm just trying to get to a question again that helps us as we do our work.
We may want to move that one down as a sort of a closing question.
Yeah, maybe it's not. Maybe
Because
it is
we are asking, the structure allows you to advance your goals and objectives, right? Down in question 6, and in question 5, we're asking about the present structure more effectively under different organizational structure. And so excellent things to get at, which is what we're trying to get at, right?
Yeah.
So
Same as the new number 8 too, Nancy, actually, as you're saying that.
Right.
And Paul, can I just?
So it might be
and
redundant,
I-
Peter? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, Dottie.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Dottie.
And I agree, Nancy and Paul, if you can use a different word other than authority, and Paul, I liked with the way you said resources, information, put another word in there for
I
authority.
think resources is
that's
a good
really
word.
Strong.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right. Resources or access to information and stuff like that. So we could put that as a sort of closing question after 9, 10, given all of the questions above, could you, in your opinion, is there any additional resources, right, that, or information, access that would enable,
Tools.
yeah, to do it that way? Is that what you're sort of getting at, Nancy?
I think you put it far better than I did. Yes, thank you, Paul.
So just to be clear, so in your opinion, could this be done if, you want to change authority to resources?
That would be the first thing, and
Right.
move it down, down below, and we'll see if it still is a good sort of wrap-up type question. So we don't want to be redundant.
And then also, Mr. Coleman, in the first part of that line, discuss whether, in your opinion, the committee has and then I think we're saying resources necessary instead of authority.
We could say resources and administrative support, right?
But how does that get covered by the charter?
Well, it depends on what you're doing.
Well, even if we don't, I mean, what happened last time, Nancy, is
Yeah.
some of the stuff we got didn't belong in the charter, but it was a best practice that we could talk to.
Oh, okay, so you can refer it out.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, if we learned, I think we did learn things in the last charter thing, and we said, hey, they mentioned that this might work better. It's not really a charter issue, it might be a bylaw issue or practices and procedure issue.
Casting a slightly wider net. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair and committee, just a quick question. Not having been part of this the last time the town went through this, so using the Finance and Warrant Commission as an example, would this survey be sent to all 15 members and you're going to get 15 responses from one committee?
I don't think.
Or we're sending it to the chair and asking them to
I would send it to the
submit it
heads.
as one committee?
Yeah,
it's a great question. My reaction to that would be to have it go to the heads of the committees. No committee.
And Peter, then they would decide how
And they
to
would decide.
get input.
I think that's what we did last time, Peter. I don't think we sent hundreds out to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Our new
Can
number 2
can I
again.
ask a question?
Yes, Mr. Hearn.
Ms. Goldberg, what have you seen other communities do around these kind of surveys, and are we missing anything in your opinion?
So Ms. Goldberg she had to jump off for another matter. But I can certainly forward any questions that the committee has to her and share those results at the next meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
And
Yes, Dottie.
and I think the second part of that question, you've got to change it too. Because you're repeating again, if not what, in your opinion. So you're kind of repeating opinion again in that question. How do you want to rephrase that where now you've said, discuss whether in your opinion your board or committee has the resources necessary to carry out its purpose?
If no, what resources do you need?
Right. Yeah.
Are needed.
Thank you.
At some point, we're going to get off question number 2. So our new number 2 is
Good luck, Chris. Good luck.
No, I think
identify any other boards, committees, or departments with which your board committee must coordinate frequently.
Should we set our committee or departments? Right. Identify.
What are we trying to get at with this question? Or this item?
Yeah, I think it's, my reactions, I think it's getting at, is there, redundancy or overlay, or, is, it's getting at that kind of thing. Is there, and is that what we want? So,
Can we be clearer then? I'm not sure that, trying to think of the user completing the survey, we want things to
Identify any
be,
other boards, committee, departments with which your board. So what we're trying to get at, right? I mean, I'm thinking from the library trustees, right? We obviously, our director, the library director, is also subject to the personnel bylaws and the supervision of the town administrator, right? So that would be how the library board would probably answer that question. I mean, we all have to coordinate with the selectmen, I guess, is that if that's what. Are we trying to get at that?
well, I would think that in some cases, let's use planning board as an example. Let's use an elected board just to try to talk it through. They would coordinate frequently with the land use department. So they would interact with the building inspector, the third-party engineering firm we use, that would be listed. So do we ask them a follow-up question that says, if you have any comments on that, the coordination that you do, please provide here? Because it's almost like, okay, just to say we interact, coordinate with all these people. Okay, is it working well? Isn't it working well? Should you be interfacing with the group you don't work with? I guess I'm just trying to probe a little bit more so that the
Right.
response to that question is helpful versus just calling out names of coordinated departments, people, committees, other things like that. You guys worked through this last time. You must have gotten good responses because you did a bang
Yes,
up job.
we did.
So I'm just,
yeah, without seeing them, actually, my recollection is that some of the responses were thorough and robust, and others were, we'll talk about it in person when we come before. So
it gets
that's
the
my
juices
recollection.
flowing, but might not have it
Right,
all.
yeah. I think the way we asked it, right, was identify any other boards, committees, departments with which your board or committee must coordinate frequently and describe the process for achieving such coordination. So that is kind of what you were getting at, Nancy, right? Okay, so you have to work with the land use committee or the pedestrian committee, right?
Mm.
How do you accomplish that, right? Is that what you're,
And how's it going?
right?
Because what I think we have maybe learned the last time around, or even over the years, that sometimes the interaction doesn't go well because, let's say, again, I think planning board might be a good group to use as an example. Hypothetically, let's say they need something done, but they have no authority over those people to actually get it done. So they interface a lot with somebody in the land use department, but they can't get the attention they need, like help with a zoning bylaw change or something like that. So it'd be nice to know.
So why, maybe we ask it this way, identify any of the boards. We might even want to say town officials, right?
Mhm.
Town officials, boards, committees, or department, which your board must cooperate and or coordinate frequently, right? How is this cooperation
Yeah,
conducted, and how well does it work?
yeah, yes, I think
I have another way that you might want to put, I just have a suggestion too. So let's see. Identify any other boards, committees, or departments with which your board committee works with on a regular basis and what challenges you may face. It's just simplifying it a little bit, but that's my opinion.
sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So excuse me, Donna, can you read that to me a little slower for a second?
Yes, okay.
On number 2.
Okay, identify any other boards, committees, or departments with which your board committee must coordinate. Actually, I took that out. Identify any other boards, committees, or departments with which your board committee works with on a regular basis and what challenges you may face, or what challenges your board committee department may face, or just, I guess, just simplify it. What challenges you may face.
You may face, yeah.
I like it.
But Chris, strike the word must at the end of the first line, right before works on the right.
Do I dare say number 3?
Yes, you do.
Identify any town employees in other departments who do not report to you, whose work is important to you
Period.
in your work.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of what we just did with number 2?
Well, it's part of
Well,
what
that's
I
more,
was talking
I think
about.
that's more staff oriented.
Mm,
And I
I mean,
I think that's a valid question. If you have a committee that, say, is reliant on, I'll go back to the planning board.
Planning
It's
board.
really reliant on the building commissioner's office because he's the chief zoning officer of the town.
Right.
And the town planner.
Right.
And again, in the library context, we have to work very closely with Jimmy McCarthy and the Public Works Department, right? But they don't report to us, right?
I think it should stay in there, even though
Yeah.
there might be a slight bit of redundancy because it calls out something that, you know, it might not necessarily lead to changes, but I think to Paul's earlier point, it could be very informative in terms of organizational structure.
There's a baby. All right.
She's having another conversation.
Mr. Chair, can I just suggest something?
Please.
As far as number 3, identify any town employees whose work is important to the work of your board or committee. Would that cover all bases? Because rather than saying in other departments, do you want the boards or committee just to list all the positions?
I have a suggestion too, Chris. Would you want to change that word to relevant instead of important? It's up to you, just a thought.
I would think,
So Chris, can you state your question again?
Sure. Identify any town employees whose work is important to your board or committee.
Well, there's something about the prompt of who do not report to you. So I'm going to give you an example that played out several years ago where the Permanent Building Committee has no authority over any town staff. But when we had difficulty with the high school project, having town staff cooperate in terms of working through the issues that were present then was very important. And so, and it never led to changing the authority, but it was a big issue that there was not any, even a dotted line between town staff and permanent building committee. And I think that speaks to the authority that maybe the moderator has or something too.
this was an important question for us the last time,
I would think.
because it also, and Peter may remember, is how it really focused us on the need for a municipal finance department, because we learned that the town treasurer and the town accountant didn't report to Pam Dukeman, right, at the time. But they happened to work together because they got along and had decided to work together. But in the absence of a formal structure, that might not have continued to happen. So when that was one of the reasons why we said we have to have a municipal finance director so that there is a actual formal coordination and cooperation other than just letting it happen because people happen to get along with one another. So remember, you see what I'm saying? So
If I could just suggest something slightly different, incorporating what the committee has discussed. So identify any town employees in other departments who do not report to your board/committee, whose work is important to your board/committee, and take out the you. If we're asking the board or the committee, it's not the individual. If that makes sense to the committee.
Sure.
So this is how the question, this is how we look at it. The committee's okay
That
with
looks
number
good.
3.
2, you just reinsert 2.
I'm sorry?
Whose work is important to your board, and just reinsert after important.
After important too.
2, thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions or comments regarding number 3, I'll move on to number 4.
Mhm.
Discuss whether your present structure and working relationships with other boards, committees, or departments permits your board or committee to work efficiently, excuse me.
Yeah. I think actually there's overlap in these next 4, like number 4 and then the 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
So I wonder if we should consolidate a little bit here.
yeah.
Well, what if we skip to 6 right now? Discuss whether your board committee's work might be accomplished more effectively under a different executive organizational structure, such as a central executive or administrator. That's a big question from last time, but that would suggest even a flatter structure. And we've been trying as a town to move away from a flat organizational structure, right, Chris?
It would be, and the other question I have is, I don't know the knowledge of the other boards or committees, but do they understand what different executive organizational structures are out there?
Hmm. So what are we trying to get at? Let's think about what this question is really trying to get at. Peter and Paul, do you remember from last
Well,
time what this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we
helps?
wanted to get at, this was going to trying to be to best practices and bringing us into the 21st century kind of
Paul,
thing.
Paul, what wasn't this directed towards moving from an executive secretary to the board of selectmen to a town?
That was one of
administrator?
them. That was one of them. It was also towards, getting a municipal finance department.
Okay.
And we were trying to figure out, whether consolidation, right, and reorgs would make the town, it would be better practices. So whether we could discuss whether the current structure of the town government, right, works efficiently with your board committee and whether change should be made that would advance the goals of conjunction. And then, please exclaim your recommendations. Then they don't have to think about what other executive functions are, right? They could simply say, we think it would be better if we could get information on demographic, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Which is,
To Peter's point, I think there might be an opportunity to basically combine 4 and 6. Maybe just at the end of 4, you say, if not, what structure would you envision that would, or what changes would you desire or something?
Recommend.
Yeah. I guess that makes 4 more than one line, but I think it's the same thought, and probably if we can reduce the number of questions, it's probably a good thing,
Yeah.
Sure.
So if I understood what John was saying, 4 would read, discuss whether your present structure and working relationship with other boards, committees, or departments permits your board or committee to work efficiently. If not, what changes would you recommend?
yeah, okay,
And then we would get rid of number 6.
yeah.
Is that the consensus?
Yeah. Chris, you got a couple of typos in for it, but you can catch her those later.
Do you reckon? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a new sentence that if not,
Yeah, just make that a new sentence right there. Yeah. And then I think you also want to make that number 2.
Question number 2.
why don't we just, is there an option to number them all number 2? That would be quite a questionnaire.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys realize this, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, John just created a new number 6. So I think that we're just moving the 2 to 6.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we should look at number 5 now?
Number 5, discuss whether the structure of the town government, its other departments, boards, and committees, the town meeting, and this should be the select board, etc., works efficiently with your board committee, or whether changes should be made that would advance the goals and objectives of your committee. Please explain your recommendation.
What is this potentially getting to that we aren't already?
Right.
I think we're already covering this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably by number 2. So I don't see anything new coming out of this one.
Like,
It is
Yeah.
kind of, it is a combination. I think Peter's right. That these can now be.
delete number 5.
I support deleting it.
Yes.
The new number 5. Identify up to 3 important organizational or structural improvements to your board, committee, or town government that would help your board committee accomplish its goals more effectively.
That's saying things must be bad and you've got a lot of ideas. Are we?
Oh, hang on a second. Are we trying to make every board and committee more effective, or are we trying to make town government more effective? And I know there's synergies in theory. If we make every board and committee more effective, it in theory would make the town more effective. But I'm just wondering if we're piecemealing it too much.
So you say,
I think the spirit of this, though, is trying to, in terms of it being an outreach to as many different stakeholders as possible. I think it's trying to solicit that broad spectrum of opinion, possibly.
Okay.
yeah, because then in question 6, we're making it broader, Pat. Right? We're saying.
Okay, that's a good follow-up then. I can buy that.
And 5, to Peter's point, with your board, your committee. Okay, now we're taking you outside of it in number 6. What other areas of town government you believe should be improved, right?
So are we good with number 5?
Sure.
Where else could we number 5? Number 6, are there any areas of town governance in Westwood that you believe should be improved?
We could even preface this, other than your board or committee, are there any, right? We really want them to take it outside of there.
Yeah. I think it gets there though. It should be just, are there any other areas?
Yeah.
If we just insert the word other, we're good.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think the question we have now is, what isn't this questionnaire getting to that we need to be sure we invite people to respond to?
And I think we need to let outside counsel take a look at it and use her expertise to, as what other towns have done and what she's seen, and perhaps she can give us some additional suggestions or even deletions if she thinks.
Yeah, I think this is much better though. Brief,
It is.
abbreviated.
Mhm.
It's less room for ambiguous or redundancy. Than because I think it's more pointed right now for what we need.
Mr. Chair, I have a question or a comment.
Please.
I'm not sure what the experience was last time, but what does the back end exercise of this look like? Are these questions just submitted in Word and people create a spreadsheet, or what is our ability to sort of assimilate all this information easily and sort of, I'm envisioning like an Excel spreadsheet or something. What does that look like once we get all this information collected, and how do you go about analyzing it?
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
recall.
Well, let's see. I think this predated even Snapchat and most of current technology that we use today. But how would I envision it? I would envision it that we do consolidate on some sort of a whether it's Excel or something that makes it manageable. That is a resource to the committee. Whether that was how to transmit it and whether it's done in a way that's created electronically automatically, I don't have the ability to say that's.
Well, one way to do it that would get us there is SurveyMonkey. If this was put into that technology, then the responses can be downloaded into a formatted way, so it wouldn't have to be re-entered or.
And is that something we can use?
Copy paste.
We use SurveyMonkey. I've seen it used throughout town, but not to that degree. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have the capabilities. I'm not familiar with its complete capabilities. Usually we use it. Can you meet on Tuesday between 9 and 12, Wednesday between 9 and 12, Thursday between 9 and 12, or whatever.
Yeah.
And we may only be touching the surface of its capabilities, so I don't know.
Sure.
We at the library, we just did a survey because of our strategic plan,
Yeah.
and that was electronically, and we got over 1,500 responses. And it was done electronically. You could respond electronically, and then Lizzie and our consultant were able to readily tabulate it all and present it. So I don't know I can't remember what they used.
I don't know that it was SurveyMonkey, Paul, but it would be something like that. And I think
So
that's probably what we should do.
Yeah.
I think we need some IT help on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, if I can just say something too, I've used SurveyMonkey with with the Masstown Clerks Association with education classes we've had, and the reporting system is great. I've done multiple choice. I've done things where people add an answer in, and it definitely can be done. Can be a good tool.
And I don't mean to get us down into the rabbit hole or the weeds of it. It sounds like there's various technologies we could use. We could explore which ones might be good. Anything that makes it easier for us to assimilate the information. If we're going to use a tool like that, we might want to consider just some softball general questions, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with the general operation of the town government or something? I don't know. Maybe once we learn more about what technologies are out there, we can see whether we want to supplement these very specific sort of narrative questions with some other, more take the pulse questions of how people view the effectiveness of the town charter currently.
Mr. Chair, I just
Yes.
want to follow up on what John said, because the questions that we're asking, these are going to be typed responses. So when you do a survey like that, you're going to get a type response versus the town of Westwood, and then you have 4 options, and you pick A, B, C, or D. So when you're tabulating, if you're going to have a written response, I don't know how that survey tool is going to tabulate different responses versus a question that gives you A, B, or C, or D to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
if John, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I've used SurveyMonkey. I think you can do both. I think you can set up a question to have like maybe an ABC, but you can also say, please describe below your answer to this question. So it probably is very technology specific, and I'm guessing that nobody on this call is able
Other than knowing we just did one. at the
Yeah, no,
library.
I
didn't
mean,
put it
I've done
together.
a while back, I did Survey Monkey setups, and I'm sure well, one, it didn't seem very difficult. Two, I'm sure there are more alternatives, and finding out what Lizzie used with the library
Yeah.
survey would be great. And this is not a complicated survey. There could be some general questions that John was suggesting. I wouldn't try to make it too much, but you start out by saying, you know, who is completing the survey? What board do you represent? So we have all the information on who completed it. And all that can be downloaded into spreadsheets afterwards. And they have the capability of saying, if the answer to your question above is no, go to B. You know, it allows you to build it. So in some of these cases, we have a lead type thing, and then if not, what changes would you recommend? So it would allow that part too. This is not a hard one to do, and I think anybody who's put together a survey through one of these software packages would be able to do it really easily. I can do it. So if I can do it.
So I'm getting word from Tish that the library survey was done via Survey Monkey. So
Lizzie?
yes, we could certainly talk to Lizzie about that. But what I was trying to get to is just following up on John said, maybe the committee would want to consider some additional questions. So for example, if the town were to change quorum for town meeting from 170, should the town change the quorum of town meeting from 175 to A, B, C, or D, or should we change it, yes or no? That type of thing. The committee may want to consider adding a couple of questions like that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, John, thank you for raising that. That was an important question that you asked, and I think that it makes sense to utilize those resources. I think, as Mr. Hearn points out, to allow our outside counsel to take a peek at what we have now with suggested additions or subtractions. So it sounds like we need to do another iteration there, and then maybe at the same time we can explore the technology path and tool that we'll use to transmit this out and then collect responses. I would also say, I would also view the responses as part of the basis of the discussion when we're in terms of inviting the boards in to come and speak with us, to have an in-person or Zoom, however we decide to do it, discussion to go just to elaborate and talk through responses too. So I would think of them as a basis for the discussion.
We did that,
So-
too, Peter, right? You said in
We
your
did.
response
Yeah.
this. Can you elaborate? What did you mean by that? I remember us doing that.
Oh, I
yeah.
understand. No, but I understand. But I mean, and so again, I might be in the minority view, but I thought it was beneficial to just talk through the topic with the various stakeholders as well in a discussion.
No, I
And,
agree with you. That I think you're absolutely right, and that's what we did the last time.
Yeah.
We used their responses as the basis for when we invited them in.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're absolutely right.
Chair, just a couple of questions, just if you
Please.
could help me with some clarification. Would the committee be interested in having an open-ended question where respondents can add if there's something that wasn't covered in the survey that the committee may be interested in? So please list in other areas of concern or questions that they may have. I don't know if that was something
Yeah.
the committee would want. The other thing is, so we're talking about boards and committees, and I'm just wondering if, after we went through all this, if we just say appointed and elected officials, because if this is going to the moderator, he's really not a board or a committee,
Right.
but he's an elected official. So I just didn't know how the committee would want to make sure that this is going to the appropriate people and it's titled to cover all bases.
The first part, I think item 6 is generally open-ended and is sort of what I think of when you ask that question.
Okay,
So I think we have it, but I don't really want feedback on other non-town governance related things on this. This is not, so.
would the committee consider moving number 6 to number 7, so it's the last one, and then we can have something on the survey where people can just type
Yeah.
in underneath that?
Yeah,
Would that work?
Sure.
Okay.
And also, should we also add board, committee, commission, because we do have commissions as well as committees?
yes, so there are two parts then. What Chris was asking or mentioned was if you're appointed or elected official or a board committee, and now Dottie, you're perfectly saying commission, because we interchange those words, but some are labeled commissions, some are labeled committees. So I think adding commission on is fine. And we do have to conquer, and we should keep it in the same order. We should always say board, committee, commission, or whatever. I mean, even with, we should keep it in the right order. But how do we deal with we want this questionnaire to go to a Jim O'Sullivan or
Elected treasurer.
collector, whatever.
Why don't we just say, describe the core functions of your board, committee, or elected position, right? Right?
Well, it could.
Or elected or appointed position.
Dottie, how would it work for you? If you were completing this, what would you want to see?
I just, trying to think of the best way to incorporate elected as opposed to appointed.
Does that really make a difference?
No.
I don't think
we're
so,
wrestling
honestly.
over. No,
It really
think-
doesn't. Yeah, I don't think so.
I think we're
keep it the way it
splitting a
is.
pretty fine hair here.
Right.
Yeah,
All I was
yes, I
referring to
agree.
is elected as the Board of Assessors, the Planning Board, the Select Board, appointed FinCom, PBC, Personnel Board. That's what I was thinking when I was referring to elected or appointed.
We might be able to cover it in the instructions or the covering email or whatever goes out.
An introduction.
Yeah.
I had drafted an introduction.
Yeah, and I think it really, I don't think it really matters. I mean, you're getting to the point, you're describe, for example, the first one, describe the core function of your board, committee, or commission. I think, it's.
The town
would cover
moderator.
it.
Right?
Both.
I preside over town
Yes.
meeting, right? Right.
Well, he presides over more than town meeting. He also appoints. the
Right, but I mean,
FinCom
I'm
and
just
the
using that
Personnel Board.
example. If Jim got the survey, I think he would understand,
Yes, I do.
I'm the town moderator in Westwood. I preside over town meeting. I appoint the permanent building committee. I appoint the FinCom, But I think we could handle it in an introduction, right?
Yes.
Right. If you are, for purposes of an elected or appointed official, answer as if you were that rather than a board or committee.
I had drafted a brief introduction as I was thinking about the questionnaire needing one, and I could add something and send it to Chris just to provide that kind of launching with the questionnaire, and then people can yay or nay or edit it. I actually, what I was thinking is, I feel like so much work was done during the last process that was where I was kicking off, that we say the last time we went through the charter review was an X, or last time it went to town meeting. And then we lead into what the purpose of this is, and, identify who you are and what your role is as you complete this questionnaire would be
Yeah.
a way to go into it. And we might not have to say board, committee, commission, elected official every time that phrase comes up.
Mhm.
You know, we could make the questions themselves a little simpler.
I know we switched 6 and 7. Did we discuss 6? Did we look at that one?
We discussed it when it was a number, I think a number 2 or number 3.
Yeah.
And we moved it to the end.
That was the question about authority, Dottie,
Okay.
at the
Yeah,
beginning.
I was, okay, I was just looking at 6 and instead of, it's broad and pretty much an open question to discuss. I was thinking, does your board, committee, or commission have the resources necessary to carry out its mission? I don't know what you think about that.
Well, one of the questions is, does
Rather
everybody
than-
have a mission?
Yeah, that was in the first version,
Yeah,
which I
I think
deleted.
mission, I think some do, but some don't necessarily have stated missions. And that's a very
And I
specific
think
word.
that, yeah, and I think that's something probably when we go to bylaws, we have to look at that to make sure that every board and commission does have some sort of mission, bylaws or some purpose for their committee that's in writing.
Okay, so I think we're close here, but we're going to do a couple of things. Nancy was going to supply a little bit of an intro.
Mhm.
We're going to share this with outside counsel, solicit feedback, positive or additions, subtractions, or recommended subtractions, and then we'll have another look at it before it goes.
And you also get a sense of what the technology will let us to do, right?
And then in parallel,
Yeah.
we'll get a sense of technology and how that might work.
Chris, do you want me to have Lizzie reach out to you, or do you want to reach out to her? Because we just went through this.
I'll give her a call. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So is the committee okay with the questions that we have, and I'll stop sharing? Okay.
Yes.
And I will share this obviously with special counsel, Attorney Goldberg.
Okay. Okay. So then it just sort of brings, just generally it gets to the question of just how do we want to work through the logistics of it, and getting this out and then inviting others to come and join us. So so I think we need some time for this next step of what we just talked about.
Mm.
I'm not sure how long we need, but some week or two, probably. What do you think? I think it would be terrific if, as a goal, we could transmit this out, release this out before the summer, before too far into June. And then, I mean, just as I think of it, I would release it out and then want it back, by early September.
Right.
Is probably what I would try to.
I think that's
try to-
right,
how-
Peter.
How I would think of it.
I think that's right.
How does that?
Is
sound?
there work that we can do in the meantime as we wait for those responses?
Oh, I think so. But it just, in terms of handling this part,
Mhm.
I think it's just sketching out what that process might look like, and then, but
Yeah.
then trying to get on, have them either create a calendar that will, that was satisfactory to us, but for September, for these interested stakeholders to come in and talk with us even as early as September.
And we did,
Um,
Nancy, we did ask Lauren to put some materials together for us.
That's right.
And so we could be working with those over the summer. She couldn't do it until she was formally appointed, but
Mhm.
we did ask for some memorandum and some stuff, materials
Right.
on what other towns are doing, and and also I think we asked her to give us a sort of guidepost for post-pandemic town government, right? How to,
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So first would be trying to, I think in terms of our own calendar, my sense is to figure out a time in June, mid-June-ish that we can reconvene.
Mhm.
And then is there appetite to convene at least once over the July or August months?
Sure.
Do, any idea what's happening with Governor Baker's order that expires on July 15th? Is anybody aware of any update?
I have not seen anything through the Mass Municipal Lawyers Association.
Okay.
Question
I
has been
just-
asked, but we haven't received a response.
Oh, that's because, that would be because there isn't a response yet. I asked that only in that we have until the 15th of July for sure to be able to continue to meet remotely, which means we might want to get something in before that date. Unless we want to reserve another date and know that it might be in person, in which case we'll be looking at our schedules even more closely.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could just suggest maybe the committee consider 2 meeting dates. One in June and one in July, and the one in July before July 15th.
Okay. So how about this June 7th?
I have a planning board meeting that evening. If you want to meet at 5, that's okay.
Can we still meet at 5? I know I can.
We could meet at 5. I do have some place I need to be at 6. But we could certainly meet at 5.
sure,
John?
that works. I believe, let me just,
June 7th. And
And
then,
this will be virtual, I presume?
This would be virtual, yes.
Okay.
and then June 12th,
June 12th or July 12th?
excuse me, July 12th. Thank you.
Yeah, actually that, of course, that day is not great on my end.
Okay.
So again, I can do it at 5 because I have a planning board meeting later that evening.
Peter, you're not good that day?
Here, can I just check one thing? I apologize.
Sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm tied up until late afternoon. I possibly could be sort of in transit on a phone call, but
That might prove to be a very important meeting in terms of starting to review things.
yeah,
So
Could we do the 11th, the day before?
I have a select board meeting
Have a
that
select board
night.
meeting.
How about the 14th,
Thursday,
I'm on vacation.
13th?
14th. Right,
I'm away from the 13th to the 20th. And I can't promise I'm somewhere where I can do it. I don't know my schedule.
About the following week. No?
way.
We'll be meeting in person unless things change.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I can't wait.
Can we go backwards and go to the 6th or 7th of July? I think the 5th probably doesn't feel like a good day, although other people could be on vacation. It's a busy vacation time, but the 5th coming right on the heels of the long weekend.
Try for the 6th,
Yeah, that's okay.
July 6th.
Works for me.
John?
Okay.
Okay.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
Hang on one second. I'm sorry. I got a note that I have something that day. I'm just trying to check the time of it. Sorry.
Mm.
Didn't think I had anything scheduled in July. Hang on one second, please. I should be okay by 5 o'clock, I think. July 6th.
If I can just confirm, we are Tuesday, June 7th at 5 p.m. We'll meet virtually, and then we're also going to be on Wednesday, July 6th, 5 p.m., and we'll be meeting virtually. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chair, just want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day, and just to remind everyone that we are returning to our Memorial Day observation and parade. So those of you who are going to be in town on Monday, May 30th, parade will begin at 10 a.m. and hope to see everyone there.
Great, thank
And Chris, you got to do a traditional Westwood Memorial Day finally.
Yes.
I assume you'll be there. I
I
should
plan
ask,
on
will you
being
be
there,
there?
Yeah, just stay healthy, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes. Paul
That's
just
nice
jinxed
stuff.
me. I just want to put that on the, just
Yeah,
to put that
right.
in the minutes, that'd be great.
Well, I'm glad it's coming back. I think that's great.
Thank you for Mr. Coleman for reminding us of that. We really appreciate that. Great. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Do we have a motion to any other business? Sorry.
Yeah, there's public participation. And
Yep,
then
thank you. Thank you very much. I apologize for that. I will open it up for any comment or questions for any public attendees. And I think they would need to raise their hand electronically, and Ms. Cole would allow access.
Right, I don't see any hands raised yet, and nothing is typed in the Q&A, but let's double check. Wait, oh, Dottie has her hand raised.
By
Do you have a
mistake.
question?
Hi. Yeah, what's for dinner?
Once, all right.
Seeing no public
I
participation.
don't see any public participation.
Thank you.
Seeing
Paul.
no public participation, Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Second. Thank you. And we'll do a roll. Mr. Loughnane,
Aye.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Ms. Hyde,
Hi.
and I'm I as well. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
folks.
you.
Have a
Good
safe
evening.
holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Thank
Take care.
you. Have a
Best
great
of.
night.
Bye now.